Good evening. Welcome to Sparks. My name is Chris Reed, and I started this journey that we're on with Sparks about, 10 years ago? It was 2012. Tonight's theme is family. And how great is it that we started out with chicken dinner, right? Nothing more family than mashed potatoes and gravy and a good meal, you know? And I love that part about tonight. And then I got to sit down at a table full of people that I got to meet. Some people I knew, some people I didn't. And I thought about family as we were talking around the table. And I won't recount everything we talked about at our table. But you can tell that they're laughing. They're kind of getting a little nervous that I might say a little things about, and everything. And you know how, your family is your family, and then you get together with your extended family and your brothers and your sisters, and there's that drunk uncle that comes over, and he still goes to church, but he probably drinks a little too much and he swears a lot too much. And that was me at our table. But everybody else, was, I had the mom at my table who helped me with my food selection, and I had cared about what I was eating and everything. And then I had the dad and the uncle that was from out of town, and he traveled a really long way to be here, and he was a little tired. But we all know these people, right? And that's what family is about, because there's connections and there's characters, and it's craziness and awkwardness and frustration and anger and all the things that go along with it. And I think that's really the cool thing about these themes with Sparks, is that it makes you think about all those things while you're having this brand new experience. And that's what hinges and hooks memories into our subconscious so well. And I think about that when I think about marketing businesses and how I do things with my business. At Creed Improvements, we build decks, and I bring big deck energy to all my projects, and it makes people snicker and laugh, and then they remember it. And it's a lot of fun that way for me. Don't suggest that everybody go out and tag a tagline from modern culture and slang and add it to their brand, because it probably won't work for you. But anyways, families, I would be that character in your family, I'm sure. And I'm sure each one of you know the character you play in your family. So at Sparks, I think that's one of the things that I really liked about it is that I wanted something that helped me create relationships with people. You want networking to work for you, and you want people to remember who you are. And the old saying, you probably heard it, that no one knows how much, no one knows what you care about until they know how much you care, or something like that, right? And it's just that idea that takes time. And I wanted a platform or a venue that would allow me to invite my friends that I think I have a possibility of having a business relationship with, and I want to spend a little bit more time with them. I want to have a couple of drinks, maybe get a nice piece of food in my belly, and talk about something that's interesting. And that's where these talks come in. You're going to witness tonight 3 timed talks, a 3-minute, a 5-minute, and a 10-minute, right? Yes, I remembered. Keeps telling me. I know. It's retention. Coors Light doesn't help. But anyways, it's just this idea of these talks are timed, just like the timer that you're seeing up here on this clock. It's going to count down to 0. And then when it reaches 0, I want you to help me and help all of us by clapping them off the stage. No, wait. I meant giving them the warm round of applause that they earned with their talk. Now, it's like karaoke for me. Karaoke is a lot of fun. Some people love it. Some people hate it. For me, it's you clap when they're done because you're really glad they sang, or you clap that they're done and you're really glad they're done, okay? And so either way, you're going to clap. And the other reason why is because there's a microphone and we're recording these tonight. So this gives an opportunity for these talks to be shared online over and over again. So you're going to pay attention to these talks because you're part of the recording. And this speaker is prepared, and they've practiced, and they've gotten together today to do this for you. So if you'll pay attention, you're going to find something, because each one of these talks you're going to walk away with something, but only if you're paying attention will you find it. And that's what I love about Sparks Talks. So, so help us welcome each and every speaker to the stage. Help us with the applause and the laughter and all the things that go along with each one of these talks. I'm super excited because I've never heard them either, and you get to hear them first time as well as we do. And this thing's going to count down to just 1 minute, and then we're going to practice, right? if you have an opportunity throughout the evening to hear about the sponsors of this event and you have the opportunity to do business with any of those people, please let them know that you've heard about them at Sparks, because that helps all of us as well. I'm going to introduce to you our MC tonight. Ryan Henry is the leader of INSPIREsmall.biz, and this says grow, learn, and connect. And for me, it has continued the legacy of this. And I hope that you enjoy what you experienced tonight, because it took us a decade or so in order to try to make something of this. And he's decided he's going to take this man along and keep moving forward. I'm so proud of him for doing that. But he has so many other events. So if you haven't clicked into what he's doing, check out the website, subscribe, become a member of his organization, because it's not just this event. It's more than that. It's a tribe of people. It's a family that you can create. And you need to talk to him about marketing your business, because if you're a small business owner like me that kind of bangs their head on technology and uses 4-letter words like that, you need Mr. Ryan Henry. So welcome into the stage.
Thank you, Chris. All right, everyone. Good evening. So, all right. Today we have 3 incredible speakers who are going to talk about family here tonight. So we're in the holidays now. And there's a lot more than Christmas that's happening this month. There are dozens of holidays that are happening. And so we thought it was appropriate that tonight all 3 of our speakers have an inspiring story to share about what family means to them. And it can mean something different from each person here in this room is going to have a slightly different idea of what family means and how they connect with them. So who's ready to hear some incredible speakers? All right. So this evening, we had a quick switch. So our 3-minute speaker this evening was ill. And so luckily, we have a fantastic person who is able to fill in. So I would like to introduce everyone to Deanna Morae, who is with the ReZENergize Sanctuary, and the title that she came up with herself, because she has also worked with our other 2 speakers that we're going to have here tonight for you. So Deanna is known as the Shine Coach. And so everyone, let's give a warm hand to Deanna Morae.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. So I am so happy and excited to be back here with you all this evening. But I do want to check in. How many of you were here back in August, September, when I gave the... All right. And how many of you are remembering to do your power stance? Yay! I'm so excited about that. I just had to remind you how important and powerful those tools are. When I think about family, I think about the way that many of us learned who we wanted to be and how to be that from the family that we grew up with. But it's important to recognize that some of us learned who we didn't want to be and how we don't want to behave from that part of our family. And if we want to still continue to visit with those people, sometimes it's handy to have tools to help us manage those challenging conversations. So that's what I want to do. I want to give you all a tool to use at Christmas with family in case you need it. Just in case. One of the most important things that I found that helps is when somebody's speaking to me and maybe I find their conversation or their opinion or issue to be a little frustrating, offensive, difficult, or what they said to me wasn't really as kind as they thought it was. It was a backhanded compliment. Here's what I figured out how to do. Take a moment before you respond, react actually, and take a deep breath. And think for a moment one of these couple of things. 1, is this something that I want to respond to right now? Or is it something that would be better if I think about it, circle back, and have a quality conversation later? 2, is this mine? Is this thing that they're talking about something that I should take on and be offended by? Is it something that I should own? Or is it actually something about them? Because I want you to remember this one thing. Most people hate in others what they hate in themselves. So, that's your second tip. And the other thing is sometimes you can just let it blow by like a Neo from the Matrix. See that? That thing just slung by. Wow. And I saved Christmas by simply not reacting, but responding. So this Christmas, try to remember to take your deep breath, because you might find that it allows you to have a more enjoyable evening interaction and experience with your family. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Deanna. All right. Next up, we have our 5-minute speaker here, Sarah Kendrick, who is the owner of RHEA Services. Sarah and I met a couple of years ago now, right? It's been a few years.
We were trying to figure that out, and I couldn't remember exactly how we met. So it's been a while.
Yes, it has. So Sarah here is our 5-minute speaker this evening, so let's give her a hand.
When you think of family, what comes to mind? I remember playing euchre with my grandpa, and how if you didn't like your cards, he would say, well, learn to play with those and we'll give you something better. I remember my grandma's bingo bars and how we still haven't been able to replicate her recipe. I think about my mom out in her beautiful flower gardens, surrounded by her flower friends, and I think about the way that my grandmother would say, anyway, anytime she wanted to change the subject. Something that comes to mind for me when I think about family is legacy. As you can see, I'm a redhead, and I have 5 redheaded brothers. That is part of my family legacy that my parents passed down to us, is the genes for red hair. Seriously, when we all get together, we're like a walking advertisement for the Ginger Genetics Convention. It's really a sight to behold. But our legacy is more than our physical traits. It is also the intangible gifts and lessons that we learn. Entrepreneurship is actually woven into the very fabric of my family legacy because I am a 5th generation entrepreneur. My great-great-grandfather, all the way through my father, had their own businesses for years. And it is part of that, my legacy, a wonderful part, and it is one of the biggest reasons why I did not want to start my own business. I saw how hard it was. When you think of your family, what legacies do you have? What things are you trying to pass along to the next generation? What are you actively trying not to pass along? That's something that we found missing in our family legacy when we lost both of my grandmothers within 3 months of each other in 2020. There was information that was missing. It was a time of such great sorrow for us, and it really highlighted the need, the importance of preserving and passing down our essential information because we couldn't find what we needed. We were thrown into chaos and uncertainty because we lacked the details that we needed to navigate the aftermath of this great loss. It was an eye-opening experience, and it really fueled my decision to start my own business. It was a venture born out of a desire to fill the gaps in our and other family legacies. I am so grateful that I have had the opportunity to grow my business over the past 3 years, and I now get to help families, small business owners, and caregivers to create their informational legacy so that they're better equipped to navigate those unexpected times. Because we never know when those times are going to come, but they will come. I get to help them create a legacy of peace instead of one of chaos, and that's a remarkable thing. Not only do I get to ask families how they met their significant other and what was their first car, I also get to help them consider their informational legacy, those not as fun, but potentially more important pieces. How do we pay the bills? Where are those retirement accounts? How exactly are we supposed to take care of the kids? When do they need their meds? It's the information that you don't typically think about sharing, but if someone isn't there to do what they do, it is essential information to have. You see, our legacy is not just the grand gestures or our extraordinary accomplishments. It's the everyday choices, the small kindness, our sacrifices for the greater good, and our unwavering commitment to our family's well-being. Doing the hard work now so that they're taken care of even when we're not there. So as you think about your family legacies, how can you create your unique tapestry of your family history? It may not be the red hair or the entrepreneurial spirit or changing the subject by saying, anyway, but what can you do now to help create a legacy of peace for your family?
Thank you, Sarah. Before we get to our 10-minute speaker tonight, I'd like to give a big hand here to the Northside Events and Social Club for hosting this event. So let's give them a hand. Also, again, to Chris Reed at Creed Improvements. Remember, it's cold as hell outside now, but he's already booking those spring projects for next year. So if you don't want to miss a single cookout on a brand new deck, get a hold of him now. He's taking those appointments for spring of 2024. Also, Deanna Morae, again, let's give her a hand. She has worked with both Sarah and Kara this evening to make sure that their presentations are incredible. Also, again, Ray Mills, RM Media, and Pavithri Kilgore here working our production desk so that everything sounds good, looks good, and we really couldn't have pulled this show off without them, so give them a big hand. And so finally, now I'd like to introduce our 10-minute speaker this evening. Kara and I met in, I believe, 2018. So 2019. Okay, so over 4 years now. And I believe at that time you were just getting your business started. And it's been amazing to see the growth that her business has had over these years about being able to tell the stories of family. So let's give Kara Long with the Memory Collective a big hand.
Storytelling has been the heartbeat of family, community, and legacy since the dawn of human civilization. No matter where on earth your ancestors came from, there would have been a point in time where they sat around the fire and shared stories. And these stories would have been about skills, beliefs, lessons, and of course, who the people were that came before them. So I was introduced to oral storytelling as a kid in the most literal possible way. My dad and I would go camping, we'd make a fire, and we would sit and tell stories. Stories about beliefs, lessons, and family members. But the problem was, I couldn't remember my dad's stories later on. I remembered that stories were told and that I loved them, but not the actual contents of those stories. And I can't retell what I can't remember. And it's not just because it happened 20 plus years ago. This would have been a problem if it happened a year ago, a month ago, or even last week, because our brains just aren't wired to remember everything. And in the modern age, we're busy and distracted and disconnected, but we still make time for stories, because as humans, we love stories. We consume stories at a rate that would make our ancestors' heads spin. We've got Netflix, movies, books, podcasts, news, social media, all about heroes out there in the world doing incredible things. But not the everyday heroes in our families right in front of us. Isn't that interesting? I mean, they're the ones who mean the most to us. They're the ones who affected and influenced us the most, who we'll miss the most when they're gone. Yet, we don't seek out or prioritize their stories. And as a result, we are actively living through a silent tragedy. Countless stories, heritage, and literal loved ones have been lost to history, gone from existence, because we can't remember. I'm going through this in my own family, actually. I lost my brother when I was 12. my dad when I was 13. My Aunt Pat was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer also when I was 13. I lost my grandma when I was 17, Aunt Pat when I was 21, and my remaining 2 grandparents when I was 25. But not once did I or my family think to record their stories before they died. Not when Dad or Aunt Pat got sick, and not when my grandparents got into their 80s and 90s. So many memories of them have been lost, to say nothing of the untold stories they took with them into death. And the fragile list of what I can remember is all I really have left of them. How long do you think it takes for a live, vibrant memory of someone to turn into an old, faded photo of a stranger? It happens much faster than you'd think. For instance, I never knew my paternal grandfather. He died about 10 years before I was born. He had 5 kids, and I'm sure that they had a ton of memories together, but for whatever reason, they didn't talk about him a whole lot. Now, through them, I only know about 5 things about him, but I don't feel particularly connected to him because stories are how we connect with one another, and I don't have those. I just have a handful of facts. And how long do you think those facts can survive on their own? Especially when the next generation down is going to potentially be even less connected to him than I am. If I'm not intentional about passing down those few facts I know about my grandpa, he could cease to have existed as far as my family will remember. Within this short period of time, my own grandpa could become a photo of a stranger. And I mean, you can look at an old photo and say, well, that's just what happens. I mean, time passes and people forget and you end up with an attic full of photos of strangers. And that's definitely the situation that a lot of people are in. But it isn't because that's the truth of the nature of how life works. It's because we didn't do anything to prevent it. Now, I know some of you might be sitting here thinking like, Kara, I hear you, but there is just no way that I can memorize both of my parents and all 4 of my grandparents' entire life stories. I don't have time, and you're stressing me out just thinking about this. I know, and you're right. It is so much pressure to put on anyone. I mean, in my own situation, I'm thinking, if I don't find a way to memorize and repeat my family stories and somehow convince all future generations to do the same, my dad's memory dies with me. My grandparents' memories die with me. My whole family's memories will die with me. That's overwhelming. The good news is, there is a better way, and it doesn't even involve memorization. It's so easy, anyone can do it. Would you like to hear how? It's only 3 steps. So step 1 is to ask your loved one to tell their stories. Step 2 is to make a little bit of time in your busy life to listen to those stories, just once. And step 3 is while you're listening to those stories, to record them. That's it. It's like trading a couple episodes of Netflix story time for story time with your family. I know, it's a revolutionary idea. So I did this with my husband's great aunt Bev, who was 91 at the time. She's like a grandma to me, and this woman had so many incredible stories, and she told them all the time, but they were just never in any particular order and never recorded. And I thought, man, it would be a travesty if she passed before they could be recorded. So over the course of several months, I sat with her and recorded her stories, and we ended up capturing 15 and a half hours of stories from her life. I mean, that's the podcast I want to listen to, am I right? But something unexpected happened when I finished Bev's project, something I'd never experienced before. And you have to understand, I've been terrified of losing loved ones since I was 12, because it just kept happening over and over and over, and I didn't feel safe, and there was nothing safe or comforting about death. And I don't think I'm the only one in that camp. But when I finished recording Bev's stories, I felt this sense of peace and relief and hope, even knowing that she would die someday. I knew there would still be grief and loss and pain when she died, but I knew she'd never be forgotten. She would never be a photo of a stranger. Instead, she'd be remembered and beloved by every generation from this point forward. And it wouldn't even fall on me or future generations to remember her stories. All we have to do is share a link, and we can be watching stories of Bev. Bev actually died a week and a half ago. And while I am grieving and sad, but normally I'd be a mess right now. But the truth is that I'm not. For the first time, I'm not. And I have to think that it's because I recorded her stories, and anytime I want to feel connected to her, I can, almost as if she's still here. You see, we can't bring back what's been lost, and we can't predict when that loss will take place. But by acting now, not in a few months or years, not after the dementia diagnosis or after the stroke, or when it's marginally more convenient for our busy lives, by acting now, we can prevent the continuation of this silent tragedy, this totally unnecessary post-mortem loss of our loved ones. We can make sure that we never leave our kids or grandkids wondering who we were or where they came from, or with the burden of passing on our memories from memory. We can change the paradigm of what it means to die. This isn't a distant dream. It's a wish we can grant today if we act. We just have to be willing to trade an episode of Netflix a week for story time with a loved one. I mean, that doesn't sound so bad, does it? Our elders need us right now more than ever, and this is a chance to reconnect with them, to have something to say to them every time you see them, to give them a chance to shine and feel important and heard and loved and feel like they still matter. In a world with so much disconnection, especially between generations, this is a way to bridge the gap. Imagine a future where people generations from now know our parents and grandparents just like we do, where we're more connected and appreciative of the people right in front of us and where we came from, and where death doesn't have to mean the end of connection. I hope you'll join me on my mission to protect family stories from dying with us, because together we have the power to make every story eternal. Thank you.
High five. Good job, Kara. Awesome. Well, everyone, Kara, that was an incredible presentation. Thank you. Give her another hand. So, even with all of the holidays that are happening this month, we have Christmas in 12 days from now. And so I'd like to challenge each of you walking out of this room tonight. We all have family, and then we have people that we feel like our family. They don't have to be related to us, but they have a special place in our hearts, and we care about them. And everybody knows somebody who is likely going to spend Christmas alone this year. I'd like to challenge each of you in this room to call them, to visit them, to make sure that they are not spending that holiday alone. Invite them over to your home. Find some way so that they're not sitting at home by themselves, because that outreach to them could mean the difference. We're at the time of year where heart attacks and suicide are at their highest levels all year. And these are serious problems every day, but they are really underscored around the holidays here that we are now. So please, the people in your life that you know that don't have family here in town, or maybe they're the only family left, make sure that they're not spending this time alone with them. It can make a huge difference. So I'd like to share with you our next event here is going to be on January 10th. So that's the second Wednesday in January. And our theme for the month is time. Time. We have a lot of it. We may not have a lot of it. No one really knows how much time each of us have. So join us here again, January 10th. Our speakers are going to be Jamie Hopper with Money Concepts, Cindy Garlock with Organizing Remedies, and Marshall Morris with Dying Defiantly. 3 incredible speakers. INSPIREsmall.biz members are able to attend this event at no cost. So please join us again next month. Bring a friend with you. Let's make sure that we pack this room and hear a lot more great stories that dig in deep to who we are all as people. So, and please do not leave this event this evening without setting a follow-up appointment with someone. Get to know each person here a little better. Networking events are much more effective when we're able to make those new connections and find out how we can all be stronger in our profession and stronger as individuals, and especially much stronger as a group. So have a happy holiday. Please, I believe there's still food left. Don't let it go to waste. If you're still hungry, eat something before you go home tonight. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.